Hello there. In my last video, I talked about the survey by the Federation of Small Business, which said that something like 250,000 small businesses were at risk of closure due to the pandemic. And we're now seeing as well, I mean, this applies to many other businesses. It's as the end of the lockdown seems to get further away, or more and more uncertainty, there must be many businesses now wondering how on earth they're going to survive. They're getting away with this at the moment because of government handouts and government support. But when that ends, there are going to be some serious problems and sadly, I suspect, a very large number of failures. What we're also seeing now in January 2021 is what I can only describe as the double whammy of Brexit and particularly leaving the single market and the customs union. It's causing huge problems for certain industries. Now, I don't particularly want to get into a political debate about this, but I should put my cards on the table and say that in the 2016 referendum, I voted to remain. For me, it was all about the economy. And I couldn't see how we could possibly be better off economically outside of a trading bloc with, and putting up barriers between us and a trading bloc on our doorstep with a market of 450 million people thereabouts, and access to an enormous and very mobile workforce. That didn't make an awful lot of sense. And also, how on earth were we going to unwind 40 years of partnership in any sensible timescale? Sadly, the debate became very polarised. The current government is in, after the last general election, on the plank of getting Brexit done, and have been determined to force it through no matter what. And so we are now in 2021, with the fishing industry in particular saying, well, it's wrecking our business, all the extra paperwork we've got to do, and hauliers as well are complaining about the problems it's causing. The fishing industry is an odd one for me, really. It's such a tiny part of the UK economy, yet it's for some reason seemed to become a poster boy for Brexit, with all the very appealing sound bites and rhetoric of taking control or taking back control of our waters. But there are other industries where there's still to be deals to be done, much bigger industries like financial services and services generally. I can see some real problems there. There are many service businesses with offices in European countries and clients across Europe, and they're going to have some real problems. When I was running my own small practice, I was associated with a firm of accountants which had built a very successful practice, bringing US companies into the UK to set up sales offices and European headquarters. Now, I wonder how many of those will be looking at that and saying, well, what's the point of having a European headquarters in a country that isn't part of the EU and the single market and the customs union? We'll move it to Dublin, for example, with the extra benefit of not having to have 3 separate bank accounts, dollar, euros and sterling. They can just have dollar and euros. And there'd certainly, I think, be some exchange benefits and paperwork benefits for them there. So I think we're going to see an awful lot more of this over the next weeks and months. Certainly, I mean, there's been all sorts of rhetoric by the government about this. I think the response to questions over the fishing industry and the damage being caused has, in some instances, been nothing short of crass, with Jacob Rees-Mogg making a joke of it in Parliament, which I thought was really unfortunate, to say the least. Talking about, well, seemed to come across as I don't really care, but the fish are British and they're happier as a result. Well, thanks very much, Jacob. That's really helpful to the fishermen in Scotland whose business is about to crash and burn. So more problems to come. I accept entirely that some of these problems we will get over. There is teething problems. People will get used to the paperwork. I'm sure things will speed up. We haven't yet got enough customs people on our border, and that will be resolved in time to come. But then there are other parts of it which are just we're just going to have to live with. It's just part of Brexit and coming out of the single market and the customs union, and can't be avoided. The timing of this, I think, is frankly shocking. Right in the middle of a pandemic, last thing we needed was more disruption to business. Should the government have extended the transition period, having agreed the deal to allow some implementation time, people to get used to the new forms, the border agency people getting used to it all as well? Well, absolutely. I certainly think they should. There would have been very good reason to do that. Let's get over one problem before we hit business with another problem. I do accept, though, politically, that would have been catastrophic for the Conservative government, elected on the plank of getting Brexit done. They would have looked fools, frankly. But there we are. But in my time as an insolvency practitioner, what I have seen is I've been constantly surprised at how resilient business people can be and how innovative they are, and very often optimistic, sometimes against all the odds. Many a time I've dealt with a business, think of a business owner whose business is about to go into liquidation. There's no choice. He can't find any other way out. There's a feeling of failure there. He's let everybody down. He's let his family down. He's let himself down. He'll feel dreadfully sorry for his suppliers who may be owed money, and his customers whose businesses might be disrupted, and particularly his staff who may be made redundant. But once he's made the decision, got the advice on how it's all going to work, they tend to sit back and start looking ahead. What do I do now? How can I succeed where I failed on this occasion? What do I need to do to change? And I think change and resilience, adaptability is the key here. Those businesses that are able to change and recognise market changes and adapt to them quickly are the ones that will survive. Those that carry on doing things the same old way will fall by the wayside. And that's true in any economic circumstances, not just where we are now with the pandemic and Brexit. Certainly a key, and I've mentioned this before, is business owners getting the right advice as soon as they can. There are plenty of people who can give advice. There may be trade associations who can help. If a business has a reliable accountant or even a lawyer, it's worth turning to them. There are independent advisors, and there are insolvency practitioners if the business is getting close to the point the business owner says, I think I might be bust, I might have to go into liquidation. What are the implications? What do I do? Go and talk to an insolvency practitioner. And I spent a lot of my time talking people out of closing their businesses, and trying to help them find a way forward through difficult times. So getting that advice is really key, and getting advice early. Don't put your head in the sand. Recognise there are ways through this, there are options, there are opportunities. So I hope that's of some help. Let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.